Hello, welcome to the Inside the Birds pregame show with Greg Cosell. I'm Geoff Mosher alongside Adam Caplan. And of course, we've got Greg Cosell to help us break down the tape and the matchup of the Eagles' opponent here in Week 10, the Green Bay Packers. It's a Monday night special between two very good teams. The Eagles coming out of their bye, 6-2. 2 straight wins, including a 38-20 win over the Giants the last time they were on the field. The Packers, 5-2-1, but coming off a loss at home against the Panthers. And I asked Greg off the air as a joke, Greg, how did the Packers lose to the Panthers? Because I was looking for his normally brilliant insight. And he said, Geoff, they scored fewer points, which is absolutely true. That's how it works. We don't even need tape.
I know. Wait. Good show, guys. We'll see you.
We'll see you next week. But no, I'm going to assume that this is going to be a good game. You know, we always talk about the week-to-week nature of the NFL. So both teams have had some low points. Obviously, the Packers losing to the Panthers is one. The Eagles lost to the Giants earlier in this year. I expect this, Adam, Greg, to be a pretty good game between two very good teams who are also somewhat similar stylistically and how they like to run their offense a little bit. And we'll get into this. We'll break it down. Adam, you expect yourself, we've been kind of had this game circled a little bit going into the year.
Yeah, this is one of those litmus test games, no question about it. Now Parsons goes from Dallas to Green Bay. They know Parsons very well. They've done well against Matt LaFleur. By the way, Nick Sirianni is 4-0 after a bye. They're usually prepared. I really thought, Geoff, that this is a great time to have it instead of like week 4 last year, whenever it was weeks 4 or 5.
Week 5 last year, yes.
Yeah, I think this is a good spot for them. And both teams have some minor injury concerns, so we'll get into that later. But yeah, this is to me a real good matchup. I'm really looking forward to this game. I'm so glad it's on Monday night. Not that you and I want to stay up late, or Greg does, because I know Greg gets up super early. But it's just that it's good that it's a national spotlight game.
Yeah. Agreed. Greg, we've talked, obviously our audience is familiar with the things we've talked about with the Eagles all year long that have been inconsistent, whether it's the run game, third down, offense, pass rush. But the Packers, you know, for being 5-2-1 and looking like a Super Bowl contender going into the year, they've lost to the Browns, they've lost to the Panthers, and they tied the Dallas Cowboys and allowed,
40 points.
40 points. Yeah. So, in terms of leaving meat on the bone, what's with that?
Yeah, I always find that hard to answer because, you know, last week, for instance, and we talked about this earlier, Geoff, is last week they were 1 for 5 in the red zone, and they'd been a very good red zone team prior to that, one of the better ones in the league. And overall, because we actually did a study on their red zone this week, they've been very good. Now, Tucker Kraft was a big part of that, and we'll get into that as we talk more, but they've been a very, very good red zone team. But when it was an odd game, and obviously it doesn't matter whether it's odd or not, you've obviously got to win games like that if you're the Packers. Yeah. But they had 8 possessions, which, by the way, is not a lot of possessions. They did not punt, and yet they only scored 13 points. That's a very strange game. They did move the football. They got into the red zone 5 times, and they were only able to score 1 touchdown, and that didn't come, I don't believe, until the 4th quarter.
That's just odd. It's one of those unexplainable things. But
yeah,
So, I mean, you can look for reasons to say, hey, the Eagles are overrated because of this. The Packers are overrated because of that. But these are two really good teams, and it wouldn't be surprising if both of them are back in the playoffs and maybe playing each other like they did last year. Obviously, this matchup will be impacted, as many are, by injuries, both teams dealing with them. Now, at the time of us recording this, we know the final injury report, because it's a Monday night game, not out. So we'll go and give all the information that we have at the moment that we know is pertinent, and then continue to stay tuned on the Inside the Birds platform throughout the weekend, because we'll give more injury updates. And then before we even get into the injuries, I do want to take a minute to encourage our audience, our listeners, our viewers to check out on our platform an interview that Andrew DeCecco did with former Eagles first-round pick outside linebacker Marcus Smith. This week, Marcus Smith has done a lot of work in the mental health awareness space. He has his own foundation, Circle of M Foundation. We've had him on here. Adam and I interviewed him at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, where he talked about his own difficulties trying to live up to being a first-round pick from the Eagles. He's been candid about his own suicide attempt, and obviously with everything that went on with the Cowboys and Marshawn Neal and his family, we express all of our thoughts with his loved ones and his family. But we thought it would be important and a great idea by Andrew to have this wonderful interview with Marcus Smith, who, like I said, does great work and activism in bringing awareness to mental health issues, specifically as they intersect with sports. So we want everybody to check that out on the Inside the Birds platforms. Thank you two gentlemen for hanging in there with me for a second.
That's important, man.
It's important. Very. Let's talk about the injuries impacting both the Eagles and the Packers going into this game. Man, Adam, we thought the bye week would be a really good opportunity for the offensive line in particular to get healthy, but for the first 3 practices of the week, no Cam Jurgens, which is always not a good sign.
Yeah, through Friday's for the first 2, he hasn't worked. So
I was assuming Monday when they did their whatever light stuff that he probably wasn't involved.
I don't know what they did. I don't know if I know they had meetings, but the bottom line is, it doesn't look good for Jurgens. We know Brett Toth will replace him, and then Dory Jackson, after getting some minimal work on Thursday with a concussion, remember he's still in protocol, was not seen on the field Friday. So we'll see what happens closer to the game. And by the way, the transactions are not the final transactions. Don't need to be done until Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's a special for Monday Night Football, so the Eagles could take it as long as they want to activate guys off of IR. So if people are going to wonder, they're going to do it Saturday, they're going to do it Monday. Most teams, particularly the Eagles love to do this. I'd like to wait to the last minute for competitive reasons. It's a smart thing. And we know that Jacorian Bennett is practicing with a pectoral strain. He looks like he's close, so they have till Monday night to activate him if they want to. And Nolan Smith with the triceps, coming off the triceps strain. Same triceps issue that he had when he had surgery. So things are looking good for him. And those are 2 guys, Jeff, that potentially could be activated for this game.
Could be, and that could actually factor really prominently into how this game is played, the flow of it, and what happens there. So obviously, like I told everybody, make sure you stay tuned on Inside the Birds throughout the weekend and up until Monday afternoon to get as many updates as you can. Otherwise, pretty good. I think a lot of people were worried about Saquon Barkley with the groin, but he's fine. He's been out at practice at least, and that is a very good indication for a team that finally, Greg, got its running game going against the Giants. And you would have to think in this game, it's going to have to be there for them to hold up against the Packers defense. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good matchup because the Packers are a good defense. They're top 5 overall. They're top 5 both in their run defense and their pass defense. So this is a very good matchup in that regard. So we know that in the last game the Eagles played, which was beating the Giants, that was really their template. That's the way they got to the Super Bowl a year ago. We've discussed that, no one runs for 276 yards every week, and you don't need to do that. But the point is, the run games was their foundation a year ago. There were numerous games where Jalen Hurts did not have 30 dropbacks. He did not against the Giants, but he was very, very efficient. Doesn't turn the ball over, which when they play the way they want to play, that is such a key element to their offense. The fact that they do not turn the ball over. The reason the run game is such a big factor as well, we spoke about this quite a bit during the summer when we did shows, was that when it's 3rd and 7, which for 99.9% of teams in the NFL is a passing down, the Eagles will run the football and they'll get to 4th and 2, particularly if they're at the 50-yard line going into plus territory. And then they will literally, if it gets to be 4th and 4 or less and they're in plus territory, that's a go down for them.
Right.
And the reason that's important is because it changes the way defenses have to look at 3rd and 7. Pretty much every defense in the league views 3rd and 7. It's a passing down. You're putting in your pass rushers, your NASCAR group. You're playing dime or nickel or dime, depending on what you do in those situations. Then the Eagles run the football, and so it changes a lot of things. So when they run the ball as they did against the Giants, and hopefully that continues, then it changes everything about their offense and the way defenses have to play against them.
Sky Motorcars in Westchester is a different sort of dealership. All it takes is one look at their Highline pre-owned vehicles that people over the country want and need. Owner Brett Schulter makes sure you don't spend a dime of your money before you purchase the car. Sky Motorcars allows you to make all the decisions regarding your next vehicle. At Sky Motorcars, you never have to spend more than necessary. Visit SkyMotorcars.com today or call 610-918-7225.
Hey, it's Geoff Mosher, and if you have a family and kids at home like me, you always want them to be fully protected. That's why I'm thrilled to be a Simply Safe customer, and our house is equipped with the most technologically advanced alarm system you can get. If you could actually stop someone from breaking into your home before they got inside, why wouldn't you? Traditional security systems only react after a break-in, but Simply Safe is different because it stops crimes before they happen with Active Guard outdoor protection. Their AI-powered cameras detect threats while they're still outside your home, and they alert real security agents. These agents take action while the intruder is still outside and confront the intruder to let them know they're being watched on camera and police is on the way. And that's how you stop a crime before it's committed. There's no long-term contracts or hidden fees. You can cancel anytime, and it comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Try it and see the difference for yourself. Do not miss out on Simply Safe's biggest sale of the year, 60% off. Our listeners get 60% off a Simply Safe home security system at simplysafe.com/bird. That's simplysafe.com/bird.
Greg, one thing I do want to ask about the run game. Last week, and hasn't happened a lot, but last week Rico Dowdle had a very strong game against
He did.
them. Anything that you noticed that the was exploited on the run defense of Green Bay?
They ran multiple run game concepts. They did some really good things. And Dowdle is a very hard runner. He gets hard-earned yards. So when it's blocked for 3, he's a guy that might get 5 or 6. He just looked really good running the ball. Now they had a 29-yarder on a pin pull concept, which we've seen the Eagles run, getting Barkley on the perimeter. They ran it out of 11 personnel, so the Packers were in their nickel. And then Dowdle had a great cutback on the play. So it was a combination of the concept, the blocking, and then Dowdle having an outstanding cutback, reading the flow of the safety. So and then he had a long run late in the game. Okay. That's how he got. I don't want to say that's how he got all his yards, but those 2 runs, if I'm not mistaken, got him up to maybe 60 yards or so, give or take.
Yeah, 29-yarder.
Yeah. So so that's what happened. But he's a really hard. I guess he had a 19-yard run on the winning drive. Yes.
Okay.
He's a very hard runner. You got to get a lot of bodies to him, or he's going to take, like I said, those 2-yard runs, and all of a sudden they're 5-yard runs.
Jeff, one of the things that happened in that game is Colby Wooden, one of their starting D tackles, he got hurt early in the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
That might have been an impact, and he's been limited in practice this week. We'll have updates. We're gonna probably have 2. Andrew's gonna do his daily to Checo, and I'm gonna have one where we take a master review of the late information, and then you and I will actually drop a show Monday morning,
right?
To do for the Monday show, so we'll be all over it. But that does factor in. Now, Judkins did well. Quinshon Judkins, after he came off the reserve list, he did well against them. They've had like 2 or 3 games where they didn't stop the run, but overall, Greg's right. They've had plenty of games. Now, DiMaccardo and the Cardinals, the Cardinals were down 2 backs, Jeff. So there's some games, and Washington doesn't run the ball particularly well, unless it's Krosky Merritt, who was not a factor at all when they played him. So, timing is everything.
So good point and good segue, Adam, to the Packers, who are dealing with their injuries as well, both on offense and defense. They have a ton of guys who are limited at practice this week. Now, some of them, like Micah Parsons, get a lot of rest. He's playing, But really, at wide receiver, they're hurting at pass catcher in general, because we know Tucker Kraft is now out for the year with an ACL injury. That's going to put Luke Musgrave into the number 1 tight end role. And he was a 2nd-round pick a couple of years ago, but Kraft clearly has emerged into one of the best tight ends in the league and a big weapon for Jordan Love. But when you also look at wide receiver, Matthew Golden has been limited. He got banged up in the last game. Christian Watson will play, but obviously he's coming back from the ACL. He's doing fine, but he's always limited at practice. But also Savion Williams, their rookie, was out of practice, and Dontavian Wicks has been limited. So, you talk about a team that probably wants to take advantage of cornerback 2 on the Eagles, but their only receiver who's practicing fully throughout the week is Romeo. They're only one that's of the 5 are Romeo Doubs. Yeah.
So basically where they're at on offense is Wicks didn't play the previous week due to a calf strain. He started working this week. They got to see how it gets through practice. Calf injuries or strains with receivers are never good. Savion Williams, who Greg talked about on a show with us earlier this week, he suffered a foot injury in the game. That's something to watch for this week. He hasn't done much. Golden, they're optimistic. At first, they were concerned, but it's more of a day-to-day injury. Mm-hmm. And then Jaden Reed's out till December. So, yeah. And what is Jaden Reed, by the way, Greg? What does he mean to their offense when he plays?
Jaden Reed is a wide receiver for the Packers.
Yeah, yes. But what does he do for them when he plays?
On the next show, who is the quarterback?
Yeah.
No, he's a pretty important part of their offense.
Yes. Well, when he's healthy, he is their predominant motion movement receiver. They use him a lot on jet motion, orbit motion. He dictates the way defenses sometimes react, whether they bump, whether they're matching up man. And he's a very good receiver. I remember doing his tape his next to last year at Michigan State when they actually had pretty good quarterback play, and he looked like a big-time prospect. And then his last year, they did not have very good quarterback play, and his numbers went down, but his traits didn't go away. So he was still a second-round pick. Right. But he's a guy that can attack all three levels. As I recall, in that opening game in Brazil last year, he made a big play on a deep over route.
Yes.
Am I correct?
And an end around also. He had
yes.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just remember that. I think right now. But he's a guy that has he's a 3-level dimension who can also be a factor in your run game. Yeah. And in the motion movement game, which he was the guy.
Yeah, I mean,
he's
because their offenses are very similar. He's sort of like what Deebo Samuel was to Kyle Shanahan in the 49er offense.
Yeah, to some degree. Obviously,
not as big, but yeah.
You're not going to line them up and run them inside.
Right.
Yes. But you're right. In terms of formation deployment, yes, that's a very fair statement.
Yeah, I do think that they're different without him. So it's and they've had to make do without him, and he's not going to be back for a little bit. He had a Jones fracture and a broken clavicle, and I think they did the surgeries at the same time. I don't know if it was like at the exact same time, which would be funny, if not funny, but
I wonder if it was on the same side of his body. That's
a good point too.
It popped into my head when I was it high school? I can't remember, but I actually tore ligaments in one ankle and fractured a bone in my wrist on the other side. So I had like a left. Let's say it was left ankle torn ligaments and a bone fracture in my right hand.
And was it baseball or basketball? For you?
Basketball.
Oh, hoops! Really? Do you remember the injury? Like how it happened?
Well, when you have a 43-inch vertical,
really,
things happen.
I mean, 43 centimeters. Is that going against Ernie Grunfeld?
I did go against Ernie Grunfeld, but he did a little better than I did in that game.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. So, how about defense, Adam? We know Lucas Van Ness has been a little banged up.
Yeah,
right?
He doesn't even start. But here's what happened with him: is he's a victim of a scheme change. They drafted him for the 34 front. They fired Joe Barry.
Yeah.
Hafley comes in with a 43. He doesn't have a role. I mean, he's a backup, but
true.
Yeah. He didn't have much of a role, but the big one is Nate Hobbs. Nate Hobbs, they signed a big free agent deal. Greg could get into what it's looked like for him, but he's hurt a lot. Good player, versatile, but he's got a knee issue, which he's had off and on this season. This one will probably go down to Monday, I'm thinking.
Oh, so he may not go, huh?
Yeah, it's not a given. Yeah, he's had this.
Well, I mean, if he doesn't go, what they'll do is they'll play Bullard in the slot, which, by the way, they down the stretch last week on the final drive by the Panthers, which was obviously the game, Bullard was the slot player and Hobbs was not on the field because they had Valentine and Nixon playing outside with Bullard in the slot. So, again, maybe it was the injury. Maybe he's not 100%. As you said,
Greg,
that could well be the case.
Yeah, he only played 19 snaps. So, obviously, that's a problem.
That is true.
They're not paying him to play 19 snaps.
I thought Bullard looked pretty good last year playing that role. Didn't he have to play the nickel quite a bit last year?
Yeah, Bullard is an interesting guy because his final 2 years at Georgia, and he was considered a good prospect coming out. He played 1 year he was a slot, the next year he was a safety. So he had major experience in college playing both positions.
Mm. All right, let's get in. Those are all the major injuries. And again, we'll have everything updated as much as we possibly can. Let's talk about this Eagles offense against the Packers defense.
Yeah.
So the Eagles offense has been very strange this year. I mean, if you look at the overall rankings, you would think that they're not very good. I mean, 24th total, I think 19th rushing, which is, obviously down from being number one last year, 24th passing. And the thing we've talked about a lot 28th overall on third down. And yet they've scored a lot of points. Their points per game is top, I want to say 11 or 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm sorry, 10th. Because they're very shot play reliant, and it seems to work for them, Greg.
Yeah, no, it's been an odd offense because there hasn't been a lot of consistency. They've had moments, but there hasn't been a lot of consistency where you feel like they're just sustaining and establishing and then working down the field. But yes, they've had some big plays. It's, just like you asked me at the beginning about the Packers last week and, in their game, which was an odd game, the Eagles offense for the most part has been kind of odd because, Jalen Hurts has a very high completion percentage this year. And he does go down the field at times. But there's also been a lot of short passes, those sort of RPO type passes. And that's foundationally something that they do. But it's the pass game has been more flashy than consistent.
I thought, Adam, that if they ever got their run game going, you would see that a widespread impact on the offense. Other things would get better as well. They got their run game going against the Giants in a way that was an unbelievable breakout.
Yeah.
But yet still on third down, they were 2 of 8, 25%. They continue to be really bad. Now I get it. They make up for it sometimes on fourth down, 2 for 2 in that game. But, living at fourth worst or fifth worst in the league on third down is not where they want to be.
A.J. Brown didn't play in that game. And certainly that was a factor.
Sure.
But look, you had the Dotson play, which is incredible. I mean, the effort Dotson made was terrific for the touchdown. I mean, Goddard had the short area play, which was big. I mean, Hurts was efficient as hell at 15 to 20 for 4 touchdowns, but only for 179 yards. So again, every once in a while, a deep play, accurate as heck. You love it, but they're looking for more. But the bottom line is when it works, like you said, Jeff, like last year, Barkley just crushed them. It was just never a game, so you didn't need any passing tempo because they didn't need to throw the football.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they've been successful for the most part when they've gone deep down the field. I mean, Hurts has been successful. He's a very good deep ball thrower. That's a clear strength of his game, but that's not the way you live in a passing game. But yet it works for them at times. Before we started talking, I told you that stat about that Jalen Hurts has thrown deep passes of 20-plus air yards on 16.3 of his total attempts, which is the highest rate in the NFL. But also keep in mind, he's closer to the bottom of the league in total attempts. So it's an odd mix there. They don't really throw a lot relative to other teams.
And Jeff, in this game, if Barkley's running well, you're going to see low pass attempts because, as Greg said, this is their template and foundation. It starts with the run game. And the funny thing is Hurts really is not a part of it like he was in the years past. That's the bizarreness of the season. It's like, how are they 6-2 with some of their staples not working? Their defense is clearly not as good as last year. That's obvious. But yet they're 6-2. How? Well, they are.
The point is they
are.
More
points, Adam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
6 times.
Yes.
What you were going to say, Greg?
No, I mean, it's been an odd season, but I mean, hey, you have to win the games. Look, they beat the Rams when they blocked a field goal. Then they started, was it the Bucs game where they started with a blocked punt? Was that the game they started with a blocked punt?
Yeah.
I mean, they've had those kinds of plays. And so of course, when you have those kinds of plays, people say things like, well, they just know how to win, which I don't know what that means. But but the point is that's one reason why they've won games that maybe they shouldn't have. I mean, if they were 5-3 now, if they did, and of course they did block the field goal, I understand that. But let's say they didn't, and that's good, then people would say, oh, the Eagles are, they're still not quite where they need to be. And I think that the coaching staff should probably still be saying that in the building, but yes, they are 6-2.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dallas Goedert has been a really big part of the offense from a touchdown, so red zone standpoint.
Yep.
We talked about that in the bye week. Do you see him right now, Greg, as if they're going to fix this third down offense, it probably is going to start with him?
That's a great question. They're not really, to me, a team that has a great foundation in the pass game on third down where you feel like, okay, this is what they're going to do, and it works.
Right.
Right. But like you watch certain teams, and I know, hey, on third down, you're going to see this.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the Eagles are that way. And don't forget, a lot of his touchdowns look, the idea is to score in the red zone. So I'm not going to use the word gimmick, but they have designed specific red zone plays. That's good coaching, But I mean, those are not plays you're going to run in the middle of the field on third down, So that's a hard question to answer.
I think you just hit it on the head, though. It feels like if it's 3rd and 7, they're either going to drop back and Jalen Hurts is going to find somebody for 25 yards, or he's going to take a sack. They're going to punt and then just live to see another day. That just feels like what it's going to be. Yeah.
Go ahead, Adam.
No, I was going to say, think about it. The last game for the bye, they scored 38 points. They were 2 of 8 on third down. Like, that doesn't really compute. Like, how does that happen?
Right.
Yep.
It's just it's been, but yet you see Greg talked about the splash plays. The Eagles, for the first time this season, they got Barkley going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brett Toth played out of his mind. See, that's also part of it. One thing I want to mention, because they worked off the run game. That's what happened last season. Now, not that they had a great pass game, but they had plenty of times where they worked off the run game. They'd be able to work on it because it's been awful until the last game.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go against a Green Bay team. We'll see how they stop the run because you know what's coming. But if A.J. Brown's playing, unless he has a setback, he's going to play. Goddard, you mentioned Goddard. Devontae Smith has had really a great season so far. They Eagles have a lot going for them against a defense where you saw what happened against Dallas, Jeff. Dallas had a lot of yards in that game.
Just one final point, Jeff. I don't think you can discount the fact that they never turned the ball over, because even though their defense statistically isn't as good as last year, and maybe it's not overall on tape, which it probably isn't, although I think there's some real positives. The fact is that they rarely ever play defense with a short field. The other team has to go 70, 80, 90 yards. That's hard to do in this league. So, they still have sort of a formula that works, because we can argue that unless he's truly taking a deep shot, which they do, and they do well, that Hurts is a little bit of a risk-averse quarterback. He's not sticking, dig balls into tight windows. That's not his game. It really has never been.
Right.
So unless he's really taking a deep shot, they don't really push it down the field, but they do take those deep shots. So therefore, if like you said, let's say he takes a sack on third down, so they punt, and the other team has to go 80 yards.
Yeah,
that's
perfectly comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Packers defense then.
Yep.
So are they still foundationally cover 1, cover 3 with Hafley? Does he blitz a lot? And how are they using Micah Parsons?
Well, this season they've been more of a single high safety defense than a 2 high safety defense. I would say cover 3 and cover 1 have been their foundations, but they do play a lot of cover 2 depending on situation. Okay. So third down, though, they're a predominant cover 1 and cover 2 defense. That's what they play predominantly on third down. They've not really been a high percentage blitz defense on third down. They're not one of those defenses that go, just gets after you. They rely on their 4-man D-line rush. But Edgerrin Cooper, if they do blitz, he's a very good blitzer. That was a strength of his coming out from Texas A&M. He's an explosive athlete. He's got a quick trigger. He's a good blitzer. Parsons is being used in many ways the same he was used in Dallas, where he'll line up obviously predominantly as an edge player, but when you get to third down or pure pass situations, he could be a 3 technique. He could be a stand-up joker. They move him all around on third down. They look for matchups. And they'll do that in this game for sure, because I think they'll try to match him up both on Steen, any of the 3 inside guys, Steen, Toth, and Dickerson. I think you'll see that for sure. And what they'll do with that is they'll line up in a 5-man front so that they dictate what we call 5-0 protection. So it's one-on-one protection, so that he can't be helped by someone else.
Right. I remember in the wild card game, if you guys remember, that they were conservative to begin with, and then the Eagles
Packers, you mean, or the Eagles?
Yes, the Packers. The Eagles moved the ball pretty well in the first quarter, and then sometime in the mid-second quarter, he even threw a couple of zeros, which I don't think Hafley does. He started to ratchet up the pressure, not a ton, but when he got them on third down, he changed his philosophy to start to pressure more. And it worked at times. It wasn't a ton, but there were just enough exotic ones and some zeros that it sort of, remember, the Eagles went through a lull until that Dallas Goddard touchdown kind of got him back on track.
Right. Now that was that the wild card game?
That was the wild card game.
That was the wild card game, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see with Micah Parsons now. Does he try to go the 4-man rush route again, get creative there, or does he think based on what he's seen from the Eagles this year, because teams have had some interesting ways of pressuring the Eagles to begin with and then dropping in the second half. We saw the Bucs do it, so the Rams do it. It'll be interesting to see if he feels like he's got to mix it up as the game goes on.
Yeah, now, that game, by the way, the Eagles offense was not very good. I mean,
No.
They were 2 for 11 on third down in that game, and they were only 1 for 4 in red zone touchdown efficiency.
Right. And again, you get the big touchdown. And really the touchdown to Goddard was a lateral pass that he broke he stiff-armed the same guy. I think it was Carrington Valentine. Is that his name?
Yes, Carrington Valentine.
Yeah, he stiff-armed him 3 different times on the way into the end zone on that pass. But it was a good, if you remember, they were showing 0 and he checked out of it and threw a swing pass and bam, off. Goddard was off to the races. So it was a good little cat and mouse going on there.
Greg,
yeah, I mean, they didn't really have a whole lot in terms of the pass game. I remember Smith had a close to a 30-yarder at some point, which I thought was probably their best designed play.
Yeah.
But
is that the game they had the opening kickoff was a fumble recovery that Oren Burks caused the fumble and they got the ball deep in Packers territory right to start? I think that was. I do. I think Oren Burks caused the fumble on the opening kickoff and they were able to kind of get in motion right away.
But, they played a lot of no huddle in that game.
Yeah.
And which they did a lot more last year than they're doing this year. That was a game, as I recall, where I didn't think their O-line was great in pass protection in that game. That was an odd game for the Eagles, given the way they played during the season.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they won. I mean, again, they won,
Yeah, by double digits.
Yeah.
They did, but it was a low score. But speaking of that, Rashawn Gary has 7.5 sacks, a lot of quarterback pressures, sacks in 5 games. Do the numbers reflect the tape? How's he played this season?
Yeah, well, he's played well. I mean, they're a good defense. I mean, they've got pretty good players. Now that they have Parsons, they have Gary. Gary's turned into a really good player. I mean, maybe he's not Myles Garrett, but he's a really solid player. And Devontae Wyatt has really come on. This is his 4th year. He started to really come on last year. Brooks is a solid player. You mentioned that Wooden could be out this week, Adam?
Yep, it's possible. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, they have Stackhouse, who's a kid from Georgia, who's kind of a strong inside run stuffer type. They have a kid from Texas whose tape I really like, named Baron Sorrell, who got lost in the mix at Texas because they always have so many good defensive players. He was a 4th-round pick. He gets meaningful snaps. They've got a lot of guys that they can put out there.
Yeah, wow.
Enagbari's been there for a number of years. He plays meaningful snaps. So they've got guys.
Enagbari, he's like one of their he still gets a decent amount of snaps, right?
Oh, yeah.
Kingsley Enagbari, yeah. Wow, they're loaded. Jeff, their rotation is super deep.
Oh, yeah, super deep.
Wow.
I mean, their only loss not loss, it was a tie. The only time where you look at and say, what happened there was giving up 40 to the Cowboys, but even losing into the Browns and the Panthers, it's not like those two teams scored a whole lot of points. It just,
their defense has been solid.
Yeah.
People are going to look at the corners, Nixon, and I like Nixon a lot. Now, is he a top 5, 6 corner in the league? No, but he's a good football player. The other side is where you're going to feel like you can do some things with Carrington Valentine. And certainly if Nate Hobbs is out, you're going to see Valentine for sure play pretty much every snap, and Bullard will be the slot. Their safeties are very good, by the way. McKinney's a really good player. And Evan Williams is one of those guys that I always feel good about because he came out of Oregon. He was a transfer, played 1 year at Oregon, loved his tape at Oregon. Thought he'd be a really solid NFL starter, ends up being a 4th-round pick. No one talked about him because he wasn't, one of those guys. And he's become a starter pretty much. He became a starter as a rookie, and he's a good player. Savvy, smart, not a great athlete, but just a really good player. Probably their version of a Blankenship type player. Really just a smart, savvy player. Whereas McKinney can do anything.
Yeah.
Jeff, when the Packers played the Cowboys, Pickett's got them badly. I mean, he
on the outside. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing where AJ Brown, with the way that he plays, Jeff, shot play time. So I've mentioned this a couple times about when we talk about the Packers this season. You could throw against them. That's the one area. They're decent, but they're not. It's not like, oh my God, you're worried about them.
Mm-hmm.
This to me could, and we'll talk later
I
about
could
our
see the Eagles, and I agree with Adam. I think he makes a great point. I could see the Eagles coming out early and taking some shots with A.J. Brown.
Yep.
Feeling like, hey, if we can get ahead, not that being ahead 7-0 or 14, means the game's over, but you know how that works. When a team gets ahead early, let's say it's 2 scores, you'll hear everybody say, oh, you don't have to change your game plan, but it's just a whole different vibe. If all of a sudden it's 14-3 and it's early second quarter, is the game over? Of course not. But it's different. It's different than if it's 6-6 or 7-6. It's just a whole different feel to the game.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's flip it. Let's talk about this Eagles defense against the Packers offense. Jordan Love, we talked about this last week on Inside the Tape. He was a guy at one point last year, his first 8 games, he had 11 interceptions. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like the light switch flicked. And then over the last however many games, he had no interceptions until he had 3 against the Eagles in the playoffs. And again, this year, just 3 interceptions and I think 177 pass attempts. So, Greg, he is not that guy that he was at the start of last year as far as taking care of the football.
No. And he threw, he did have the one bad pass last week that was intercepted, one of his reckless throws, which he doesn't do very often now. He's a much more controlled, calculated player. And I think a lot of that now in this game could well be a function of who the receivers are. I mean, we don't know who they're going to put out there. Golden, I think, becomes a really important player in this game if he can go, because he does have speed. And I think he's a good player. But Love has really become kind of a controlled player for the most part. Now, we all know Matt LaFleur wants the offense to be balanced. He's not a throw ball quarterback. Unless the game demands it. I mean, obviously the Cowboys game against a bad defense was a different kind of game. This game's not going to be 40-40. So, I think with Love, it's funny because last week, other than the one bad pick, his numbers were solid. He's sort of settled into being just a quality NFL quarterback who still has high level traits and can make big time throws.
Right. The offensive line.
Yeah.
Now they're going to face a new look Eagles pass rush. Jaylen Phillips we're going to see for the first time. I know they've had some movement, right? I mean, first of all, I guess Elgton Jenkins is back at center. I know he's played guard and tackle. Did their first round pick from a couple of years ago, does he not start for them? Jordan
Morgan.
He just started right guard, and he's the weakness in one-on-one pass protection.
Okay.
He was a tackle in college. They moved him to guard. He's been a little bit of a weakness in one-on-one pass pro. But other than that, it's they got Rashid Walker, you know him, the Penn State kid. They got Zach Tom, who's a very good right tackle. Jenkins is a solid player. Banks is a solid left guard. Morgan is the guy that you can kind of go after in one-on-one. So the issue is, because that's where Carter's going to line up. So that they're going to deal with that in pass pro. They're going to slide Jenkins to him. So now we'll see what Vic Fangio does, because that's what's going to happen.
Right. And now we're going to get our first look at Jaylen Phillips. I mean, he's going to line up. Now, it'll be interesting to see. He rushed over left tackle, correct, when he was with the Dolphins?
Jaylen Phillips lined up. No, he lined up and over the right tackle.
Or was it? He lined up on the left side over right.
Lined up on the left side of the defense, not the right side.
Okay, but
they moved him around, but predominantly lined up on the left side of the defense.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see where the Eagles rush him, where Hunt is going to rush from, if Nolan Smith is able to play, where he rushes from too. So they've got some options here, but I'm curious to see if we're going to see a different Jaylen Phillips with the Eagles, because he's maybe not be as double teamed, or may not
he'll be rejuvenated, because he'll be excited to be here coming from Miami.
He is.
His quote. What did he say, Jeff?
He said it was literally the greatest thing to happen to him in his life.
Wow. I mean, that's about as strong as it gets, really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they could move him around, but I mean, he predominantly lines up. Just to give you an example, he's played, I just looked it up, 298 snaps lining up on the left side, and only, let's see, on the right side, 66.
Got it. So he lines up across right tackle. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Zach Tom.
Zach Tom, who's a pretty good story for them. Zach Tom, their right tackle, right?
Yeah, Zach, he's a good player.
Yeah.
Better than Tom Zach, yes.
And obviously a big mystery coming out of the bye is the rotation that we're going to see at off-ball linebacker between Nakobe Dean and Jihad Campbell against a team, Greg, that uses a lot of motion, as you said.
Yes.
Now, I wanted to ask you, they have not run the ball as effectively this year as they did last year.
They have not.
I know that Josh Jacobs has been dealing with an ankle, but he's been playing. But is there anything you're seeing in just how they're blocking it up or up front that they have not been as effective?
I mean, he hasn't had as much room, clearly. I mean, he's been hit a lot at the first level. And he's a hard runner, but if you're hit a lot at the first level, it's just hard to get going. He's a physical back. He's a strong back. He's a guy you got to get a lot of bodies to. They do use him in the pass game. And they've got another back named Emmanuel Wilson, who's actually a pretty intriguing player in the context of their offense.
Yeah.
And he's taken up from Marshawn Lloyd, who basically he's not going to play for 2 seasons. I mean, that's unfortunate, but that's the reality of it. Yeah, this is, Jeff, this matchup's intriguing because all the new players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Phillips, to me, I was thinking about this earlier this week. As much as Josh Sweat offered you in versatility, you take Phillips, he's a next level because he's a better pass rusher. He's got the ideal length. I mean, Sweaty was obviously very long, but Phillips is 255, 260, Jeff. And Greg told us last week after the trade when we did the tape show, he looks really good.
Yeah.
So here you go. He's back with Vic, and this is what they've been missing.
I mean, he'll be rejuvenated for sure. I mean, he's going to be fired up. I mean,
this is a big deal to get Phillips. If he looks,
he's a young kid. He's 26. Okay.
Yep.
Now, granted, he's had some injuries, but let's assume he's okay. I mean, we're not doctors. We don't know how that affects you long term. Right? But let's assume he's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a big-time edge player in this league. I mean, you don't hear his name mentioned a lot. He obviously was hurt. Miami's become kind of a bad team now, but he's a really talented guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he plays at a high level, you've got something here. This is a big deal.
Yeah. Hey, Philly fans, game day is stressful enough. Parking, traffic, long lines. We've all been there. But when it comes to your cannabis, Camden Apothecary makes it easy. This is the dispensary for sports fans, just minutes outside of Philly with plenty of free parking. You'll be in and out fast, no hassle, no waiting. And they don't just care about convenience. Camden Apothecary is all about the guest experience. Their staff makes sure you feel taken care of every time you walk in. Plus, they carry only the best quality cannabis at the fairest prices. So whether you're stocking up for the tailgate, the watch party, or celebrating a big win, you know you're getting the good stuff without overpaying. They even show love to the community with specials for fans, students, service members, and healthcare pros. Camden Apothecary, top quality cannabis, great prices, and an experience made for Philly fans 21 and up. Yeah. I was gonna say that Jacobs and Barkley are gonna have a lot to talk about in the pregame as they stretch because you're talking about two guys who had great years last year and are constantly getting hit at or behind the line of scrimmage. So it seems like they've got some similarities there. Very curious to see also if Vic goes back to playing more coverage, less man, less blitzing, and we would call that the Jaylen Phillips impact. Does having him there make Vic lean more on a 4-man rush? Because I imagine that you don't want to blitz too much.
To me, I think the bigger issue is how they feel about stopping the run. Mm-hmm. Because that's the bigger issue when it comes to bringing someone down into the box.
Good point.
So I think that's going to be the bigger issue because they are playing a team that does want to run the ball.
Right.
They're not playing a spread team that, that just tosses it around. They're playing a team that wants to run the football. And we talked about this earlier in the week, that one of the main reasons they were playing more single high this year was because of the run game dimension that they were struggling with because Milton Williams was such a big factor in that regard. And now they don't quite, and with Carter's uneven season up to this point. Now, hey, if Carter is truly the healthiest he's been, I guess we're going to find out. But if that's true and he can play at the more dominant level that he played a year ago versus this year, other than a few flashes, then that could change everything as well.
That, Jeff, one of the things that we with Phillips is, and we talked about what BG would do last year is you could see Phillips line up side in nickel, which we've seen with BG. So Phillips gives him something. See, that's the beauty of this thing. So this game Monday night, we're going to know about where Phillips lines up, how much he lines up, and where he lines up. And then, of course, you've got we'll get to the back end with Jair Alexander, who potentially could play. He's healthy. He said he was, by the way. He said it's the best he's felt since he had knee surgery last year. So
I mean, again, he's a total unknown, obviously, because it seems as if he hasn't played in years. But he's got a lot of traits now. I mean, if he's truly healthy, okay, and I assume he's practicing in full this week, Adam?
Yes, he is. Yep.
So if he's practicing in full, they're going to have a pretty good idea. They probably have it right now. They're going to know. I mean, hey, for all we know, they could start the game and he's your corner outside opposite Quinyon Mitchell.
The practice
and he's going to play every snap. That could well be the case.
But I just love he said in the locker room, they asked him, how do you feel? He goes, this is the best I felt, not only all season, since I had my knee surgery last year. Now,
well, I know for a fact because of Darius Butler is he played for Chuck Pagano, and Chuck's in
that's right.
Baltimore.
Old friend of ours for the show.
Chuck loved him. Chuck loved Jair Alexander as a person. I mean, obviously he was in a tough situation for whatever reason, but he loved him.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been meaning to tell you it's Jair, not Jari. Just letting you know.
Yeah. Jair,
yeah, he did. We had him on the show too. I remember him. He's
Chuck
Pagano, he was great. He was great when he was at the Packers. It would be fascinating if he went starting for the Eagles in his first game.
Look, the Eagles. Is every draft choice and every trade great? No. But when you trade for Jair Alexander, you're doing major due diligence. As they didn't trade for him with the idea that, he can't play for 5 weeks. That trade wasn't made for that reason. They didn't
give up anything though, because it was a
I know, but still, we know they know that
Uh-huh.
what they've been playing at corner opposite Mitchell is not good enough to go where they want to go. They know that.
Right.
That's not. I didn't just say something profound. I didn't just give you a scoop.
Obvious.
So the fact that they just made that trade, they're pretty much counting on him to be the corner opposite Mitchell. Now, whether it happens in the Monday night game, none of us can say. But that's why the trade was made.
And Jeff, I'm very curious when Bennett gets cleared, and it could be as soon as this week. How does he factor in? We're talking about Jacorian Bennett.
Yeah.
Because they gave up, was it a 4th round pick?
No, they gave up Thomas Booker for him.
Right.
Oh. Why did I think there was?
Because he was a 4th round pick.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Bennett is a guy.
Well.
Right. Greg has talked about him. You liked his tape before he got hurt last year. He had 2 shoulder problems. He could run. He factors in. So they're going to have some answers. We'll have one answer if Alexander doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
It's the coolness of this game because if everyone's activated, what we mentioned Nolan Smith, we'll have to see. But then there's the issue also of clearing out roster space, Jeff, which is they got 2 guys. They're gonna when Smith and Bennett get activated, they're gonna have to make a couple moves.
No doubt.
Didn't they release Patrick Johnson?
They did.
Back in the practice squad, yes.
But they had to do that to make room for Phillips. So
right,
and Brandon Graham also now is 53. Yep.
Right.
Hey, I still like a good night out, but I'm not always in the mood to drink, and that's why I looked for a great alternative, and I found one. It's called Soul's Out of Office Gummies. You get the same light, happy buzz, but you don't have the hangover. There's no sugar, and you don't get that awkward feeling the next morning. They help me unwind and ease into my evening without the alcohol or the next day fog. Soul is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Soul specializes in delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood and help you unwind. Their best-selling out-of-office gummies were designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance your creativity and relaxation. With 5 different strengths, you can tailor the dose to fit your vibe. From a gentle 1.5 milligram microdose to their newest 15 milligram gummy for a more elevated experience. They've also got a variety of products specifically designed to help you get a better night's rest, including Soul's top selling sleep gummy, a fan favorite for deep restorative sleep. So bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Soul today. Right now, Soul is offering our audience 30% off your entire order. So go to getsoul.com and use the code BIRDS, BIRDS. That's getsoul.com, promo code BIRDS for 30% off.
Well, let's do what we do best. Let's wrap it up and give our game predictions and our player of the game. We'll start with you, Greg. What's the score going to be, and who's going to be the player of the game?
Oh boy. This one, I actually thought about this. I find this game to be very hard.
Agreed.
Because the Packers are a good team. They're at home. I don't think the Eagles struggle with playing on the road. I don't think it's a case, oh my God, they can't go to Lambeau Field and win. I feel like the Eagles starting to get that groove back of playing the way they play.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to pick the Eagles, and believe it or not, I'm going to pick Saquon Barkley to be the player of the game. I just think this is who they are, and I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm going to pick 27-24.
All right, nice job, Adam. It is your turn. Did I give the spread just to?
Yeah, it's depending on which book you look like. It looks like it's one either way.
Is it? Oh, okay. I thought it was the Packers 2.5 last night.
No, it's completely changed.
Okay, wow.
It's down to 1. I'm with Greg. I like the Eagles to win this game. I'm gonna call it 23-20. Now, it's going to be in the high 20s, low 30s during the game, something like that. It's going to be cold, but not windy. It's weather should
not. That's not really cold for an NFL
normal in Green Bay.
Yeah, as long as there's not a lot of wind, which there's not supposed to be. It's fine.
That's not one of those cold where it's like
no, I don't worry about that. And I love what Jordan Davis. I won't repeat what Jordan Davis said this week about that, the weather, or Green Bay. But bottom line is, the Eagles are. I agree with Greg on this point. They're coming together at the right time. I just feel like this could be Jaylen Phillips could actually be an impact player immediately. I expect him to play a lot. Why not? Not a lot. I'm not saying every snap, but I think he's going to be a factor. But I feel like there are plays to be made here, and Hurts is going to hit AJ Brown deep. By the way, they also got the Packers in Week 1 last year. Brazil. AJ had a big game.
Yeah.
I like the Eagles in this game. I like them to win 23-20. And I'll give Hurts the player of the game. He's going to be impactful in this game. Greg took Barkley, so I'm going to take Hurts in this game.
All right. I also have the Eagles winning. It's a clean sweep. I am winning 26-20. I feel like it's going to be a very close game, and then maybe they just get that last touchdown at the end to seal the deal. Could go either way. I agree with you guys in that I think there'll be opportunities in the pass game to strike some big plays. I'm not sure they're going to rectify the third down offense right off the bat. But no matter whether win or lose, they still get the shot plays. And I'm going to pick Devontae Smith because he and Hurts have had a better connection this year than in years past.
He's been phenomenal.
And obviously, at the cornerback spot is where outside corner is where you can get the Packers. So I will pick Devontae Smith as my player.
It's funny. Has anyone picked him at all this year? And he just does well almost every week.
I think I picked him. One of us picked him once in one game.
I doubt it was me, yeah.
Oh, you know what? I picked him in the game where he went off. I remember I was texting you guys, yes, Devontae Smith.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how. He is so damn good.
Mm-hmm.
He is, to me, heading towards not only Pro Bowl. I mean, he's headed to All-Pro category. How good has this guy been this season?
He's been fantastic. He'd probably, on a team that threw the ball more, he'd probably even be even better than that.
Right, but yet he's been the guy. He's actually been the guy this season, not A.J. Brown. So
that is correct. And what was I going to do? You remember me saying when we did our season preview in August, Adam, I said I thought Devontae Smith had a higher ceiling that he could get to if they could get him the ball more. And it looks like he's starting to reach that. He's got 588 yards on 44 catches, and he averages 13.4 yards per reception. So a good, not a breakout year because he's already good, but a higher ceiling year for Devontae Smith. That is going to do it, my friends, for the Inside the Birds pregame show. For Greg Cosell and Adam Caplan, I'm Geoff Mosher. Enjoy your football watching.